We are the Walker family.
My name is Natalie Meadows Eggleston.
My name is Paige Byron, and I was born and raised in Jackson, Wyoming.
We live in Casper, Wyoming. This is my husband, Ian. I'm Riata. This is Whitney and Philip.
I'm an OBGYN physician. I currently work up in Billings, Montana. Grew up in Jackson, Wyoming.
One of the challenges of Wyoming is that there are so many rural communities around the state, and healthcare access just continues to be something that we struggle with statewide.
And you think of, what you can't do for them, and that just became too overwhelming for me to feel like going back to Wyoming was going to be a safe thing when the trigger laws were enacted again.
My story starts about 6 months after I was married. I found out that I was pregnant. My husband and I were super excited. We had been hoping to be parents and got married later in life. Unfortunately, I miscarried at 16 weeks. It was a pretty traumatic experience.
So at our 20-week ultrasound, we discovered that our daughter had severe heart defects and chromosomal issues. And then upon having our heart echo and appointments there with maternal fetal medicine, we found out that her condition was really fatal.
I was eventually prescribed some medicine that allowed me to miscarry, but it was a long and fairly tenuous process. What made it so difficult, honestly, was that all I wanted to do was be at home with my family over the holidays and be able to process what was happening to all of us. And instead, I found myself commuting over mountain passes in the middle of winter in order to try and receive care that even 4 years prior would have been readily available to me here.
So that really made me realize kind of what a crappy situation we were in, having to leave our home to go to Denver to have this procedure, or even just to go to the doctors, driving 4 hours to the doctors, just, with all these thoughts in our heads of what are we gonna find out. It's not a very good situation we're in. Not being able to have these choices in Wyoming is, not ideal.
Why providers aren't coming to the state, because that's a terrible thing to have to look into somebody's eyes and say, I know how to help you, but I can't.
I would fight for anyone's right to make that choice, because I fear that if we give the government the right to decide that we can't terminate a pregnancy when we feel we need to, we're also then giving the government the right to decide that we have to terminate when we don't want to.
There's a focus on how it affects women who are requiring abortion care, but the sphere is so much larger than that.
I would urge us to resist this bill, but that's why we have a Constitution. It's bigger than us and bigger than the laws that we pass.
I hope that our government entities can find their way back to that middle ground and prioritize the constituents that they're serving, whose lives are at risk.
That's really the perspective that I hope to communicate, and that I hope legislators really hear, that these bans are really affecting individuals, families, communities, our economy, the state as a whole, the future of Wyoming.
I think that the way that we're going to move the needle and ensure that women and family care is serving the greatest number of women and families in this state is by uniting as a constituency. I think that Wyoming United is well positioned to take the reins to do that.
Pregnancy is personal, not political.
Pregnancy is personal, not political.
The state of Wyoming shall act to preserve these rights from undue governmental infringement. Mr. President, that's our job. We're the government that is supposed to be there for the people to preserve these rights from undue governmental infringement.
If you dive into the personal stories and let people tell you their story, because there's a lot of women who have their own story, and just open yourself up to learning from them, you might be surprised at where your views go.